As you walk through the hallways of AHS, you meet many different people and personalities. During the day, I find myself adapting to the different situations I'm in, and I find myself wondering why I feel the need to behave differently in front of different people. And then I ask whether they're doing the same thing around me. Well, I did some research, talked to some people, and eventually got my answer.
Everybody has a core personality that is the real them. And then in certain situations, they show pieces of that core personality to the world.
I definitely act different depending on who different people are, just because it makes people more comfortable.
I'm not going to be the weirdest person that I can be. I'll be a little bit more reserved.
The word I would use is compartmentalize, in the sense that everybody wears what I would call different faces. The face you present to your parents is different than the one you show your friends when you're hanging out on the weekends, is different than the one you show your coach when you're at practice.
Well, it depends on what type of relationship I have with the person I'm around. Like, if it's a parent or a family member, then I have to be really respectful and reserved and, you know, maintain like the expectations they have from you.
So in a positive relationship, I'm thinking in terms of people that you have bonds with, that you care about. So friends, romantic relationships, like my wife, for example, or if you had a boyfriend or a girlfriend.
Our positive influence you might then have a tendency to make better decisions. Maybe because you value their opinion, they're just a positive influence in your life to lead you down the right path.
You can hang out with people who see things in a positive way, quote unquote, the glass half full. You're more likely to think with a better attitude about an outcome. Okay, whatever the dilemma might be.
Some people, if they have a tendency to idolize maybe those that aren't the greatest influence in their lives, they'll make bad decisions as a result of it.
And even though you don't feel like it's right, you are kind of like, I feel like I'm obligated to.
I think most people tend to dwell on the negative, and whenever something happens, very few people actually look at the positive, and therefore I think you can easily fall into the trap of hearing something that is negative, and if you hear it enough, or you hang out with people who strictly have that kind of energy at all times, or most of the time, you tend to kind of blend in with that kind of energy, you might say.
You want to feel different, you don't want to be the odd one out, you just want to blend.
There's this whole desire to get a reaction out of other people, whether it's positive or negative, about people you don't like say you have a difficult relationship with your parents, or there's a group of people that you don't respect, the outside of your peer group. You might do negative things just to kind of rub salt in the wound, so to speak. So like, if you know it's important to your parents to get good grades and you're really mad at your parents, you might purposefully start doing badly in school just to hurt them.
Romantic relationships, even at the young age that you are, if it's an unhealthy relationship, if there's a controlling aspect, if there's a lack of trust, lack of respect, people, because especially love is involved and their heart is involved, their actions will change.
But guys in general will do amazingly ridiculous things to impress a girl. Things that maybe even the girl thinks is stupid, but the guy thinks will impress her.
Sometimes I do act differently as what I really am, which is I shouldn't do, but it's just because I really care what people think of me.
Some people, because of life experience, because of emotional maturity, because they have their ability to walk their own path, are sort of more resistant to being drawn into good and bad actions by outside people. But I think most of us, in the right circumstances, there's going to be something that will pull the good or the bad out of us.
It all depends, I think, on a person's strength of character and sense of self, whether or not that they kind of identify themselves with others.
If I'm around certain people that I have to act mature around, I'll act mature around.
That's just the way life is. There are people that are going to affect you in a negative way, and there are people that are going to affect you in a positive way. And how you react to those people, unfortunately, sometimes determines your mood for the day.
I wouldn't say that my behavior changes for like every situation, but it really depends on who I'm talking to.
You know, you're hanging out with your friends at a party on the weekend or staying over with your best friend on the weekend. The things you say and the way you act and what you talk about is probably far and away different from what you would ever want your parents to realize and know.
But if I'm with my best friends, like, yeah, totally, I'm just gonna be, I'll do whatever, and you know, I'm not afraid to laugh and like share a joke with them.
Overall, I don't think I change a whole lot. People know I'm pretty much the person I am. I'm pretty true to who I am.
These are possibly even people I don't really know, then I'm much more free and it's a lot easier to act almost however I like.
And I like ducks.
Obviously, my parents played a major role, but I had an uncle when I was growing up who helped me out a lot, made me believe in myself, and I had a few teachers along the way in high school who kind of inspired me and motivated me. So I've had, I would say, at least a half dozen people maybe that played a major role to develop me, or at least help me become who I am today.
My dad was always study, and yeah, I got this. I'm gonna go hang out with my friends. I'm gonna go play my sports. But through it all, my mom was more of a softie, but through the structure, the discipline, and the rules that he set, and the importance of education, despite the fact that I was pushing back on it a lot, I still kind of replayed that in my head as I was in college and beyond, and I think that has helped mold me to constantly strive for more.
My grandmother, and she always treated me like I was an adult. So, you know, even when I was in elementary school, she would talk to me and respect me as if I were already an adult and never condescend or talk down to me. She would show interest in things even when she didn't necessarily have an interest herself. She would make it clear how she felt. Like, I love science fiction, I love science fiction movies, and she would listen with great interest and ask detailed questions about the book I was reading, movie I was watching, and then she would say, you know, I don't know how you can watch that garbage. Why don't you listen to something useful or read a history book and learn something? But if that's what you want to do, you do